excuse me, the second one came out. The first one was actually a free production I did in Lower Manhattan, and I had no idea that I would ever get any interest. And it's actually very illegal, and I had to go back retroactively. I think the fact that I sell it for $5, which gives me about $1.50 in my pocket after shipping, and that put it on for free immediately after I had it up on the internet. I mean, immediately after I released it on the Artivist Film Festival, I put it up there. I think my altruism comes through. I spent about $120,000 on that movie, and luckily I do fairly well in my general bullshit commercial slave world in New York, so I'm willing to sacrifice that, and I'm not poor. I'm going to hopefully make my money back through time with this, because it gets popular, but I think it's altruistic enough. Anyone who thinks I'm trying to make money off of it, I don't think they get the larger picture. Obviously, I have to make some kind of money, because I have to live too. So
yeah, I think anybody who says that really doesn't understand the costs of making a good film.
Greetings. It's quite interesting that you said that I see the paradox in this. So you're actually saying that the system is going to crash, the monetary system?
Well, it is crashing.
It is crashing right now. So because I've been hearing this since I was conscious that the system is going to crash.
Well,
so and then there comes a story, because when you become self-sufficient, like for example, you start transition towns or other beautiful projects, you have to have a financial backbone. I also see yourself having a financial backbone by doing this project. So in a way you're saying get out of the system, but in a way you're also saying, but it's okay to stay in the system to do something good.
Well, unfortunately, no one can escape the system.
Okay, but so actually you're saying like use your common sense.
Yes, absolutely. I'm saying
because that's important to say also to the public, not to raise like a lot of panic, get out of your job, or just keep working in the nuclear plants and everything will work out by itself.
Well, no, I think that there's a certain degree of rejection that it can occur, outside of your general survival. Obviously, there is a paradox here, and I totally understand that, and I can't say that it's an easy answer, but first of all, you have to realize these base, simple things, I don't respect what I have to do in my advertising nonsense that I do in New York as a freelance editor. What?
I love it, advertisement. For the good things.
Well, nevertheless, but I understand what I have to do, and I try to conduct myself in the least greed-based orientation I can. Because I don't want to go too far into this, but the business structure is a chiseling mechanism of everyone basically chiseling off of everybody else to get as much money as they can. A businessman walks in and sits down at a table, and there's another businessman across from him, and one's selling something, one's buying something. They're engaging in negotiation, but all they're really doing is trying to screw each other over as best they can. And this goes on every day, all over the world, thousands and millions of times a day, on multiple levels. Like, for example, in our relationships, men sometimes traditionally think that they own their girlfriends or wives. There's these ownership elements that actually occur in like human relationships, and I think that's a distortion too. I mean, obviously there's a commitment between a relationship, but to think that a woman or a man owns each other in some way, like my wife, you lost your wife. Why didn't you hang on to your wife? Shit like that. It's very pervasive and it's very sick. So being aware of that and being conscious of that, while understanding you have to survive and you have to submit, I mean, that's the fine line that you have to walk until some change is pushed forward. So I understand what you mean, by all means. Thank you.
Hi, Joseph.
Hi.
What do you think of Barack Obama, and do you think he'll be good for America?
Obama? No. Well, I don't know. I doubt that. Obama is when you look at his backers, and that's what most people in America don't look at. They don't look at who's actually behind the scenes. First of all, Obama, I think, was the made man a long time ago. McCain had multiple opportunities to go after Obama for all these incredible weaknesses, and he never did, for one. Two, Obama crushed McCain in his overall financing. As I say in the ZEITGEIST Addendum, the more money you have, the more media you're going to get, the more money you have, the higher your odds. So Obama was about 150% I think it was like 600 million for Obama and 320 million for McCain was the overall financing. That's a lot. And then when you realize that Obama's backers are pure Wall Street, I mean, he just named as his Treasury Secretary the head of the New York Fed. And I'm like, what? This guy's not for change. He's got to be kidding. And so anyway, then one of his main backers that you should be very fearful of is a man named Zbigniew Brzezinski. So Brzezinski is very much behind this guy. And if you don't know who he is, look him up. He's a very despotic man. I'm fearing war with Russia at this point because Brzezinski is a big Russia hater. And he has been after Russia. He was the one that started the Soviet-Afghan war that finally led to the actual collapse of the Soviet Union, the final collapse. It was Soviet-Afghan war. And he's the one that instigated, he's the one that funded the Mujahideen, which became Al-Qaeda. He's the one that did all of that. So I wish Obama was what he said he was, but he's not. I'll believe the change when I see it. No. Yeah. What's that? Who? Oh, he did? Did he really? I didn't even know that. Oh, that's unbelievable. Of course he's going to win. He's got he was saying that there was a 30-minute TV commercial on all the networks apparently in the States. I missed this. I don't have a television, honestly. But yeah, 2 nights before the election. So they've been positioning him for a long time. They knew, first of all, if you look at the statistics, they knew a Democrat was going to come in office because this black and white paradigm that people use, all the Republicans have destroyed so much, the Republicans, have destroyed so much in this particular administration, in Bush, that it was a 9 out of 10 chance that a Democrat would be put in position because that's how this mass psychology works. They oscillate back and forth depending on the behavior of the prior president. And of course, the lowest rated president since Nixon was George Bush, the Nixon administration for Watergate, if you're familiar with that. So, yeah, it's a big fraud. It's a big scam. He was positioned.
So I'm just going to take a couple more questions from people who haven't spoken yet. Sorry.
What's that?
Hello. So we've got a stall round the corner here called Simple, and so I agree with you. The starting point of any discussion should be that everyone and everything is interconnected, and only from there, can we come to some kind of agreement.
Sure.
But what I see that what you're expanding the Venus project, and also solving, changing the way. Going to an era where we don't use money and there are no laws. I think that the Simple campaign would help that, because I see it as a transition period, which it's a form of open source global politics and a campaign to drive all governments to cooperate with each other. So it's under that maxim that everyone and everything is interconnected, and I can't be free unless you're free.
Right.
And it's a non-hierarchical method to achieve that. And I could see that it would complement the ZEITGEIST Addendum film.
I think that's a very interesting idea.
So it's by people around the world sign up to it and put forward policy content to be implemented globally by countries implementing these policies simultaneously, so no one suffers an economic competitive disadvantage by moving first.
Right.
So by joining it, you put yourself on equal footing with other people around the world, and therefore it breaks down barriers of stupid ideas like, oh, we're different, or I can't think of any stupid ideas at the moment. But so yeah, I'd like to invite you to my stall afterwards and have a chat with you about that. And I've got a book I've written. Okay,
all right, sure. I think that's in theory what you're saying is fantastic. How it would actually play out, given in the existing political structure and the monetary system. I'd be interested to consider that.
We expound monetary reform is one of the policies put forward by our supporters, where. We say that money should be issued into the system interest-free by social institutions rather than by private banking institutions that have a privilege of issuing the money into the system.
There's many corrective measures that can be made in the current monetary structure to help things. But I think in transition, that should happen, and I totally agree. But we can't get lost in that because we have to move forward. But I totally agree with your ideas.
I think you very eloquently described the enormous flaws in the financial system in America, in the world, the way we